I'm going Nurgle's back, baby. Hello and welcome to another Putrid Ramblings. This will be a new monthly video where I will talk about Warhammer and our hobby. Things I've painted this month, games that I played, and things I'm working on. And any other tidbit about the hobby I can find and would like to share with you guys. So, let's just get started. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about YouTube. As you may have seen, if you watch my videos regularly, I've done a little rebranding a while back. I think the videos look a lot more professional, and I really like that retro VHS style look. Has it been done to death? Yes. Has everybody done it at one point? Yes. But I also like it, so I'm going to do it. I do think it looks a lot better than it used to be. Also with the thumbnails, the way I made it now is there's much more creative freedom. I can do a lot more with the logos. It's much more fetching. It looks a lot better. So I am overall very happy with the result. Also, even the paint titles that I usually have in my videos, like this one, well, it does have a lot more information because I've actually been using a lot more different paints. I of course use a lot of Citadel paints because, you know, it's what I have the most of, but I have definitely been working with different types of paints, different companies. So yeah, you know, more information on the screen in a nice compact way. That's always, you know, the way to go. Well, off with you, go. There will be more stuff coming along. Definitely, you might remember my little animation of Snot the Nurgling. You know, this guy. I'll let him do his thing. There we go. You might remember him. I am making a new animation, but it is a lot of work because, you know, I don't use like fancy stuff like animate. I actually have to draw every movement and stuff like that. So it's fun, but it's a lot of work. But more animations of Snot are coming just to spruce up the videos just a little bit. Hoping that he'll not be annoying. Another thing I've had a lot of comments about were the transitions I did during all the painting with the swoosh and everything. Some people thought it was a bit annoying, and totally get it. That's why I got a new transition, which is this. See, there's no sound. It's just a little glitch on the screen. Looks a lot better. And it's not as distracting as having a swoosh every other second or something. So let's go on to the next stuff. I did record the intro and the file went corrupt, which sucks, so I had to re-record my intro. I also, while recording the original video, totally forgot to actually use my new external microphone, which should hopefully sound better. So this part and the new intro have been recorded with the new microphones. I'm very curious in editing, and if you guys will hear the difference. Probably it won't sound as hollow as the other stuff, but you know, let's see what happens. And hopefully files don't get corrupt again, because I don't like redoing things. No. If I look back on the things that I've painted this month, I did a little cleaning up in my backlog because, as everyone in this hobby, of course, I have a backlog as well. A lot of stuff currently for 40K, for World Eaters. I got some stuff for Admech that I'm painting, and I'll get back to that later. A third army, a old army, has popped up, which gave me a new obsession again. But I will talk about it in a moment. First, I painted some stuff for my World Eaters, which were my Chaos Spawn. Very old models. One of them I've actually painted before. But yeah, they were redo for a new paint job. And it was fun painting these old models. You can really see how far G-Dubs has gotten along with their modeling. Everything is so crisp, so small nowadays, and those Chaos Spawn are like big hunks of plastic, but it was still a lot of fun to paint. I haven't used them in game yet, so I don't know if they're really useful, but at least finally, after all these years of being in my closet somewhere, they're finally painted, and that makes me very happy. Another thing that you need in the World Eaters are lots of rhinos. So I had a Night Lord's rhino, which I repainted as a World Eaters rhino as well. So this will basically be a Karn's little ride. Sometimes I put him in a Land Raider, but Land Raiders are really expensive, so usually rhinos are the way to go, so I've heard. So now I have two bloody ass rhinos, which it looks really cool, and always fun with the paint scheme that I have for World Eaters. It is actually quite easy and quick to get a vehicle on the tabletop, so definitely a fun addition to this army. Another thing I painted was Servitors. When I started Admech, that was just before the Codex dropped, I was really interested in having a little gang of Servitors following the Engine Seer. I thought that just looked very fluffy, and I really wanted to do that. But when the Codex dropped, the Servitors as a unit were dropped, and I already bought a STL kit which would allow me to make some Servitors. And I still painted them up. I will be including them here and there in my army. You know, one is in the Dune Rider, the other one is walking along with the Dune Crawler. So at least they'll have their place in the army, but not as a playable unit, which is that's just a shame. But there you go. What are you gonna do? Another thing I painted for the Admech were the Theraxi Sterilizers, which is a really fun unit. It looks really cool. I printed some alternative Flightstands because I'm not a big fan of the transparent packs. It looks a bit silly. But these ones were really good. If you check the video, the link is in the description on where you can get them. They were fun to paint. In battle, it's a fun nuisance unit, I guess, but I used them once and they were not very useful. They're very, very flimsy for these big models with the big wings. It looks really cool, but they get shot off the table very easily, so have not really found a spot for them. But then again, playing Admech has been a bit of a challenge, which I will talk about in a moment when I talk about the games that I play. But overall, got some stuff done this month, which is great, and I'm working on a lot of stuff. I'm actually working on a little bit too many projects at the same time, which made me everything always makes me very excited to start working on it. But if you're working on too much stuff at the same time, you don't really see the progress, and that's also a thing I should look out for myself, which is not that is something I need to work on this year. Definitely. So 40K has been the main game that I've been playing ever since its release last summer. It's a fun game. It took me a while to kind of get into it, but it is a very easy game to play now. It's much more streamlined. Making or building an army list is much easier now. So, good job on Games Workshop for keep on improving the game, which is really good. I started the playing with an army I already had, which was the Death Guard. It is my favorite 40k army because of Nurgle, obviously. But I had some issues with the army itself, and not really the rules, but more the fact that I had two different painting schemes going through the army, which didn't give it this cohesive look that I'm looking for. So I went to something else, which were the World Eaters. Something, a new edition calls for a new army. So at least I like to think so. So I went all full in with my World Eaters. It was a lot of fun playing with them. I played a lot with them. I'm actually playing them in a league right now. I got some options now. I've got some 8-bounds. I even got some Exalted 8-bound coming up. So a lot of options to play with. Then of course Admech, because I wanted to play something completely different from the World Eaters, because they're an army that has to run to the enemy and chop everything up. So I wanted to play something completely different, And I landed on Admech, which the models are amazing. I love them. They're like little. This is some very disturbing body horror going on there, and it's so cool to see. But playing them is rather difficult, I found. I've been collecting Admech a little bit, and I've got all these little units because there's a lot of diversity in the army, a lot of different types of models. And the thing I found was, if you have all these little loose units running around, it doesn't really do much for the game. So, although it was very fun painting the army, I don't know if I'll be playing with them at the moment, because whilst doing all this stuff, Death Guard came back to me. Suddenly I was like, you know what, I should sort of looking back into the Death Guard. You know, rule-wise, I think they're a little bit better, but also, you know, the models keep being so awesome, and I really wanted to paint more Plague Marines, and so I made some purchases. I got Typhus, I got the Death Shroud, I got a Plague Burster Crawler, which is really cool. I didn't have that yet. And I found something really cool, which were STLs for Plague Rhinos and a Plague Predator. So currently I'm printing that, and I will be painting in the future the Plague Burst Crawler for video. So I'm gonna paint the whole new vehicle fleet for my Death Guard, and trying to make the whole army a little bit more cohesive. You know, give them new bases, all the same bases, give them a bit of the same color scheme, stuff like that. So another thing I would like to talk about in these videos are some releases that GW is bringing out in the month and that I might be interested in. Definitely one of the big things this month was Old World, and I used to play Tomb Kings. I actually sold pretty much my entire army, it was like a couple of years ago, for a lot of money, and now everything is back. I'm actually, because I'm not really planning on playing Old World, I'm really happy I was able to sell off my army, and now that everything's back again. It was definitely fun. I definitely remember it being fun. I played, I think, the last edition of Fantasy, which I think was 8th edition. It was definitely fun, but because there's so many other games I'm playing currently, you know, you got 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warcry, Blood Bowl, there's so much going on. It's a little difficult to play yet another game. So, you know, maybe if they'll do something cool with Orcs and Goblins, although I think it's pretty much the old models as well. Or maybe they'll also do something cool with Beastmen, because I did like Beastmen, but those models are also very dated. So I don't know. I think probably it's going to be the exact same army again, and they'll make some new characters or something. That's seems the way they're doing this right now, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it. Now, another thing I was really curious about is the Night Lords Kill Team. It's been announced that they're coming in a box with some Drukhari guys, shirtless elf dudes. I'm not really sure what they are, but the scenery piece that comes with the box is really cool, so I'm definitely interested in buying that. I actually already have a Night Lords Kill Team, the Legionnaires, but you know, to have a really dedicated Night Lords Kill Team is of course very cool. But we'll see. I definitely am interested in getting the Night Lords Kill Team, and other than that, Dark Angels don't really interest me that much. Imperial Space Marines, I mean, they're fine, I guess, but you know, they don't hold a candle to the Chaos Marines, obviously. So another thing that might be fun to talk about in these videos, like what is coming up. Maybe I can give a little sneak previews on stuff I'm working on and things that will come to the channel. So one thing I've already announced in my previous video is that I'm working on 2 War Dogs for my World Eaters. Now I've built the models and they're ready for priming. Building them was actually quite a lot of work because I tried to make a very scenic base which tells a little story. Just a little fun little thing that a big model like that can easily have. Next up, I'm going to be painting them up for a video, so that will be my next painting video for sure. I got a lot of stuff built for Death Guard, which is all ready to go be painted, but it'll be painted in the same way I pretty much did my Death Guard kill team. So I was thinking I could make a video of the Plague Burst Crawler to at least see how I paint a Death Guard vehicle. And if I should make a new Death Guard Plague Marine video or maybe a Death Shroud, I don't know. I don't want to make too many videos that are kind of the same. Kind of defeats the purpose of a tutorial, I think. So I'm gonna have to think about that. But otherwise, oh, and I've got a building coming up. I keep forgetting that I have printed a major building, which is in the background, which I want to paint using the airbrush. But I was also thinking, like, do a lot of people use an airbrush? Like, people who are watching this, let me know. Do you use an airbrush? Do you find it annoying when tutorials make extensive uses of airbrushes, or would you like to, you know, show them how to do it with a paintbrush? I'm definitely interested in that, because for me the airbrush, it's a great tool. It's a time saver, priming, base coating. It's so much easier, and of course you can do way more with an airbrush. That's things that I have not even tried yet. You know, I do try to do, you know, the zenithal thing is very standard, but to do some under shading, to actually try to make gradients on it. You know, I've been trying some stuff like with my Gloomspite Gits, but it's a learning curve. Definitely, it's would that also be, because I think there's a lot of YouTube videos already on how to use an airbrush, but should I make one? Like, would be fun, I guess. Now at least I know how it works. It took me a while, and I did ruin a couple of cheapo airbrushes in the process, but at least now I know what you know, how it works. So that is stuff that is coming up. I'm staying in the 40k lane. I am also planning on building my Flesh Eater Courts, but at the moment Death Guard has got me fully excited again, so I'm going Nurgle's back, baby, and stuff like that. I also even got like a little a snotty nose and everything, just to be on brand for Nurgle, which is a common theme for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. So here is the end of my monthly recap. I thought this might be a fun addition to the channel to show people what I'm working on. Definitely let me know what you think of this, or if you want to hear me talk about other stuff. Like if interesting stuff pops up, I'll definitely discuss it in these videos as well. Like I'm currently reading a book for the Night Lords, which is very interesting. It really gives a really nice look into the life of a renegade Chaos Space Marine, which for me, that's so cool. The Chaos Space Marines that are usually at the forefront are like the Berserkers or the Plague Marines, and you know, they are very, although they're very cool, they have a very distinct mission in life to serve their Chaos God. But a renegade Chaos Space Marine can be very different. They can follow chaos, but they can also just not follow the Imperium and trying to survive. I think it's a really interesting thing that probably doesn't work very well on the tabletop as a army, but as a kill team, or maybe even a more narrative thing like a role-playing game. That might be awesome. I think there is a role-playing game where you can play Renegade Space Marines, but I have not played it ever. So but the idea interests me greatly, and the Night Lords are really cool. I mean, they're basically evil Batman in space, which I really like. They got the bat motif, which I think is really cool. So yeah, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, I was doing an outro. Yes, so I hope you like it. I'll talk about other Warhammer hobby related stuff when it pops up. I got some new paints incoming, which I'll be reviewing, and I also will be making a part 2 of the blood video, because I've been getting a lot of feedback from that video. People that had excellent suggestions. I'm actually waiting for the new Army Painter line to drop, the Fanatic line, which I think will also have a blood effect. So once I have that, I'll see if I can get some new blood paints and make part 2 of the video, because I am honestly still searching for the perfect blood paint. Like I can make it myself with contrast paints, which I use extensively for my world leaders, but it is nice to have a blood effect that just comes straight out of the pot, you know? As a painter, I'm still doing my intro, by the way, but I'm going on a little rant here. But as a painter, mixing is part of the painting process. I know that, and that's fine. But I don't like it. Especially, I consider myself a army painter. So when I set out to do a paint job, I want a recipe or a paint job that I can copy easily for my army. Like the World Eaters, for example, have a lot of, I found a lot of different recipes for different units, which is great, but like Admech was a little bit more uniform. So if I can use paint straight out of the pot without mixing, it will be so much more easier. Like if you're making like a bust or like just one big model, you can mix and match all you want because you're just doing it once, you know? But if you're painting an army and you need to mix your paints every time, that's, I don't know, it's not very efficient, you know? So that's why I'm always looking for new paints, new types of colors. That's why I got 15 types of red and blue and whatever, because I don't want to mix. I do mix on occasion, but I try to avoid it as much as I can. So yes, but I was still doing an outro. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys next month. I'll be making tutorial videos are coming up. Any other tidbits I'll be doing this year. I think it's going to be an interesting year. I'm just going to try some stuff, see what sticks, see what people like, and definitely let me know if you have any suggestions. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.